Hey everybody, this is Dr. B. So this is a new thing that I'm doing. I see so many blogs out there, so many vlogs out there. Excuse my background. This is all new for me too. I just moved from Kansas to DC. So anyway, um, I am somewhat feeding off of the Tricky Scientist channel. For those who follow the Tricky Scientist channel, he basically talks about a lot of PhDs and not in academia. You're not limited to just being in that particular field in the whole 9 yards. Well, he just mentioned something about how individuals can um, do other things and paying off debt, and he does a lot of stuff. But anyway, what I want to hint on or hint around is the fact that getting a PhD in the federal government is totally different. You have the corporate work, you have the corporate sector, the public sector, the private sector, you have the federal sector. And what people are not doing when they get PhDs, a lot of times what they do is when they cannot get a job in the civilian sector, the public sector, or the private sector, they come to the federal government and they expect all this money. Okay, well, it's the federal government. It's taxes paid into a particular salary. That's how that works. Now, for those who don't know who I am, I don't know what I do. Let me introduce myself again. I am a HR liaison for the Department of Veteran Affairs, working on behalf of Office of Resolution Management, which is also known as EEO. That's what I do. I have a background of 13 plus years in HR, both civilian and military. I have a master's, I have an MBA degree in international finance, and I'm currently in the middle of my PhD. So, a lot of people may ask, well, how does that correlate? Well, I believe that education is everything. Without education, it's hard for you to get somewhere or where you're trying to get to. Yes, indeed, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, but a lot of times, coming from my background, being African American, we were taught that education was everything. But besides all of that, whether you're African American, Chinese, Japanese, whether you're Panamanian, whether you're from Thailand, having a PhD does make you stand out from everybody else. You just have to know how to use the PhD. So if you cannot get into the civilian sector, the public sector, or even the private sector, and you got a PhD, when you're on the research end, because the federal government, when it comes to education, has two categories. Either you're in the Title 5, which is administrative positions, and then you have Title 38, which is your medical positions. Your doctors, your medical doctors, your nurses, your RNs, LPNs, and so forth. However, those are also known as your research scientist positions as well. They generally come in on a higher salary bracket, such as GS 12s and above. Title fives generally can come in anywhere between a GS 1 to a GS 11. If you're a veteran, then you can go up. If you're a disabled veteran, you can go to a GS 11. If you're a 30% disabled veteran, then there's no time and grade required for you per se. If you're a public civilian, public service, you just coming off the street. They call it DEU hiring. Direct hire basically is basically what it is, but DEU stands for Delegated Examining Unit. And it basically means the job is pretty much open to the public, which again, mostly public health, RNs, physicians, CRNAs, RNs, LPNs. They can pretty much come in with their license, and their hiring process is completely different from everybody else's. But again, I'm responding to something that tricky scientists have mentioned when it comes down to graduate with a PhD, how the transition is. Don't feel entitled after you get a PhD. That's my advice to you all. Whoever's getting a PhD, don't feel entitled because you have a PhD. You chose to get it. It was a personal decision. You have to suffer the consequences in the transitioning process, in which it takes time. because you're not limited to just academic, to academia. However, you have to understand that the process of transitioning from a PhD, not knowing where to start and knowing where to go, you do have options. However, you want to make the right best decision, as Oprah Winfrey would say. So my thing is, okay, if all that fails, you can always go to the federal government to get the experience that you need that you may lack, um, and use it as a stepping stone. We all have to start somewhere. So because you got a PhD, don't feel, number one, don't feel entitled. Because you're military or you're a veteran, don't, again, I tell you something, don't feel entitled. What you should do is build up your experience over time. Be able to articulate it the way that you should so that you can get looked at, referred, interviewed, phone screen. I've done 50 interviews in 1 month on the federal government side. The private sector would not look at me. Public sector wouldn't look at me. Civilian sector wouldn't even look at me. So the reason why I'm where I'm at is because the federal government said, "Hey, he got a master's degree. He has an MBA, and he has HR experience. I'll give him a chance." The first time I declined a job, I had recently had got married, relocated, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It was the right move, but it wasn't the best move. So upon graduation, 6 months later, I got the same call from the same manager, um, and offered me a different job. The first time it was an HR job. I turned it down. My spouse suffered a death in the family. I turned it down. I had just went from Georgia to Texas, and I'm not going to leave them. So if you're not paying relocation, then I'm not coming. And then 6 months later, it became a program analyst, data analytics position, and I took that job. And my spouse went to Korea. However, things did work out. I was able to land the job within a matter of 6 months. Prior to doing that, I was a correction officer for. I was a data. No, sorry. I was a data entry operator for the VBA on a contract, and I had a second job as a unit coordinator for a for-profit hospital. I quit both those jobs, got married, relocated from Georgia to Texas to be with my spouse. Job didn't transfer when I was told that it was. However, I have always aspired to be a PhD or to get a PhD, because in the civilian sector or private sector, individuals who hold PhDs are known to be knowledgeable experts at their job. That's what a PhD basically is. Um, and so you have to make it work for yourself. Um, don't use the federal government as a last resort, but if you do, it's a stepping stone. Learn from it, move on, get the experience that you need, and keep going forward. However, they're not for profit. There are plenty non for profits out there. There are plenty for profits out there as well. Whether it be a hospital, a pharmaceutical plant, it doesn't matter. They're definitely they're out there. You just have to figure out which one is right for you through interviews, phone screens, and so forth. So hopefully this information was valuable. It was very valuable to you. Hopefully you're able to implement it in some kind of fashion, form, or way. If you have any questions about how to get hired or the hiring process or the application process on the federal side, I can help you. Please leave a comment, leave your feedback. It is very detrimental to me that I'm able to emphasize on the job market. They are very different. I think I'm knowledgeable of that. So please, again, leave a comment, leave feedback. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Be safe. Happy holidays, because Thanksgiving is coming up. Again, feel free to reach out, ask me any questions that you have, and I will do the best that I can to find you an answer if I don't have the answer. Have a good day.